Have you ever wondered if you're crazy? Maybe it was something really small, like you aggressively want ice cream, and at the exact same time you have a probably slightly less aggressive but still aggressive voice saying no. One voice says get up and seize the day as your alarm goes off. Another says hit the snooze 1, 2, 7 more times. Well, if the research is correct, the average person has about 70,000 thoughts every day. That's enough to make anyone crazy. Maybe you felt crazy because of something bigger. You couldn't get your mind off that upgrade, that thing, that promotion, that dollar amount, that person that you feel like would make your life so much more exciting. And at the same time, you have a little voice already telling you none of those things will actually deliver. Maybe it's how you feel about you. One minute you think you're awesome, maybe too awesome. And then you get on Facebook and see the perfect family or that perfect body or that perfect house, and you kind of hate yourself. One minute you're calm, and the next a wave of anxiety takes over. What if I told you you're probably not crazy and you're probably not alone? And what if, get ready for this, the voices of give in, don't give in, chase it, no, be grateful, I hate them, I love them, I'm awesome, no, I suck. What if all of those voices didn't actually originate with you, but are really outside influences from somewhere else that we can choose to listen or not listen to? One of the greatest steps we can take when it comes to our personal health or our self-awareness is to begin to recognize and capture the different voices that we hear, to focus on the true ones and discard the untrue. And let's be honest, with the world we live in, it's harder than ever to decipher what's really true. So I want to give you a framework for the voices you hear, and then a question that's a powerful tool to actually do something about it. Specifically, there are 5 voices that we hear. 5 voices that you see throughout the scriptures, and we have very creatively titled them the 5 voices. The first voice is the voice of the world. The voice of the world is one of comparison, one of dissatisfaction, of culture. Don't hear me say the world is all bad, but when I say the world, I mean the voice that tells you you need to chase. You need nicer, newer, bigger, a nicer house, car, purse, watch. You need brand name. Your family, your marriage, your kids must be perfect. Because obviously your neighbors and everyone you follow on Instagram is. You must travel the world and accomplish all of your life goals by 30. It's the voice that encourages you to find your identity and how you stack up to your friends, your coworkers, your siblings. It says you matter only if you're having a good hair day. You're a couple of pounds below your ideal weight. It's the voice that says if he just made a little more, if I just worked a little longer, if we can just get the filter right. That's the voice of the world. The second voice is the voice of the flesh. Kind of a weird word, but also kind of a straightforward voice. Basically, it's the voice that encourages you to do what feels good in the moment with complete disregard for future consequences. Do what makes you happy. Do what feels right. Don't worry about anyone else, because that's never gotten anyone into trouble. Drink it, smoke it, eat it. Do it because everyone else is. Hook up with him or her. It could even be a lazy voice. Do whatever feels good. Next, there's the voice of the enemy. No matter your worldview, no matter if you believe in God or not, we all have a voice in our heads that is actively working against us. Typically, the loudest tools for this voice are shame and fear. This voice reminds you of your inadequacies, your insecurities, your greatest mistakes. It reminds you why you don't have what it takes, why you are unworthy and unlovable. The voice of the enemy sounds like this: what the hell is wrong with you? You're an embarrassment. You're going to fail. Don't keep fighting. It's not worth it. Just give in. This voice is a liar, a deceiver, and makes all kinds of false and empty promises. If you're not a Christian, you still hear this voice. If you are a Christian, well, we have a real enemy. In many ways, we were designed to have one, and when we don't remember that we all have a common enemy, we fight each other instead and become disunified. If you're depressed at this point, then wait, there's good news, because these last 2 voices are true voices. They're good voices, and we should focus on them. The fourth voice is the voice of the soul. It's the voice that speaks the loudest, that resonates inside of you when you are doing what you were made to do. The voice of contentment, when you hold your kids or your spouse close and breathe deep. It's the voice that encourages you to love, to serve, to engage. The voice that says you were made for this. When you step into your calling or your gifting to love those around you or make the world a better place. And finally, there's the voice of God, the real God. Not the angry old one in the clouds wagging his finger at you in disappointment and anger every time you mess up that you were taught about as a kid. And the real God is a good Father. He's a perfect Father. He loves you unconditionally. In fact, John says God is love. His voice is always loving. He says, you're my son, my daughter. You're made in my image. You have indescribable value and worth. You are forgiven, washed white as snow. He says, come close, stop running, rest in me. He says, you have what it takes. You are strong because I am strong and I am with you. 1 Timothy 1:7 says, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of sound mind. So you know whenever the fear and anxiety voice kicks in, that's not God's voice leading you. So there's the 5 voices: the world, the flesh, the enemy, the soul, and God. And here's the tool I mentioned up front. The tool is a question. And that question is simply, whose voice is that? I honestly think I ask myself this question every day, but it's so clarifying, especially when a voice is strong or there's a negative emotion associated or you're back and forth on something. Whose voice is that causes the negative voices to lose so much power so quickly as soon as we pause long enough to recognize that the voice is untrue? And likewise, it reinforces the true voices when we realize we should focus more on those. So at the end of the day, you're not crazy. Or we're all crazy, depending on how you look at it. And navigating these voices has the potential to bring us to places emotionally, spiritually, and relationally that perhaps we've never ventured to before.